I thought the fog was outside. Cold, heavy, wrapped around Bangkok like a wet blanket. But it wasn't. The fog was in my head, in my heart, in every decision I made after I met her. I gave her everything. My savings, my dignity, my future, and when it cleared, she was already gone. I was on my third whiskey when she walked in. The bar was dimly lit, tucked away on a side street off Sukhumvit Road, one of those places where expats go to disappear for a few hours. I'd been doing a lot of disappearing since I arrived in Bangkok 6 months ago. It was easier than facing the truth. That Margaret was gone, that I was 65 years old, that I was alone in a city where I didn't belong. The whiskey helped. It always did, but it never lasted long enough. I looked up when the door opened. She was wearing a red dress. It caught the light from the street and made her look like she was glowing. Long black hair that fell past her shoulders, a smile that could make you forget your own name. She walked past the empty tables and sat down right next to me, not across from me, next to me. "Hello," she said. Her voice was soft, sweet. "You look sad." I laughed. It came out bitter. "That obvious?" "Little bit." She tilted her head. Her eyes were warm, dark brown. I could see my reflection in them. An old man with gray hair and too many regrets. "You want company?" I should have said no. I should have finished my drink and gone back to my empty condo. But I didn't. "Sure," I said. "Why not?" She ordered a drink, something fruity with ice. She told me her name was Rowan. She asked where I was from. I told her Manchester. She said she'd never been to England, that she wanted to go someday. See Big Ben, drink tea. She laughed when she said it, a real laugh, not the fake kind you hear in bars like this. We talked for an hour, then 2. She asked about my life. I told her I was retired, that I'd worked as a civil engineer for 40 years, that my wife had passed away 3 years ago. She reached out and touched my arm. "I'm sorry," she said, and I believed her. I wanted to believe her. She told me about her life too, how she grew up in a small village in Isan, how her family was poor, how she moved to Bangkok to find work. She didn't say what kind of work. I didn't ask. I didn't want to know. Not yet. When the bar closed, she gave me her number. She wrote it on a napkin with a little heart next to her name. "You call me," she said. "We go out. I show you real Bangkok." I held that napkin all the way home. I looked at it under the streetlights. I looked at it in the taxi. I looked at it when I got to my condo and sat on the edge of my bed. Margaret's photo was on the nightstand. She was smiling in it. That smile she always gave me when she thought I was being ridiculous. I put the napkin in my wallet. I told myself I probably wouldn't call, but I knew I would, because for the first time in 3 years, I felt something other than empty. I felt hope. And hope is a dangerous thing when you're lonely. I called her the next morning. I told myself I'd wait a few days, play it cool. But I woke up thinking about her, about that red dress, that smile, the way she touched my arm like she actually cared. She answered on the second ring. "Nolan, I wait for you to call." Her voice was bright, excited. It made me smile. We met for lunch at a street food stall near Chatuchak Market. She was wearing jeans and a white t-shirt, no makeup. She looked younger in the daylight, maybe too young. I pushed that thought away. We ate pad thai and drank cold beer. She told me more about her family. Her mother was sick, diabetes. Her younger brother was still in school. He wanted to be a doctor. "That's expensive," I said. She nodded. Her smile faded a little. "Very expensive, but he is smart. He work hard, maybe scholarship, I hope." I wanted to tell her I'd help, that I had money, that I could make things easier. But I stopped myself. It was too soon, too obvious. Instead, I changed the subject. "What do you want to do today?" Her face lit up. I want to show you market. Then we go to river. Take boat. You like? I liked. We spent the afternoon wandering through Chatuchak. She held my hand. I didn't expect that. Her hand was small and warm in mine. People stared at us. An old white man and a young Thai woman. I knew what they were thinking. I didn't care. She made me feel alive again. We took a boat down the Chao Phraya River. She leaned her head on my shoulder. I could smell her shampoo. Something floral, sweet. I wanted to freeze that moment. Bottle it up, save it for the nights when the loneliness came back. You happy? She asked. I looked down at her. Yeah, I'm happy. Good. I want you to be happy. She reached up and kissed my cheek. You are a good man, Nolan. I can tell. We started seeing each other every day. She'd text me good morning, send me photos of what she was eating for lunch, call me before bed. She came over to my condo and cooked for me. Green curry, mango sticky rice. She said she wanted to take care of me. I met Tommy for drinks one evening. He'd been in Bangkok for 15 years, ran a small guest house in Sukhumvit. He was the only friend I had in the city. So, he said, lighting a cigarette, tell me about this girl. I told him. About Rawin. About how she made me feel. He listened. He didn't say anything for a long time. Mate, he finally said. Be careful. These girls are good at what they do. I felt my jaw tighten. It's not like that, isn't it? He blew out smoke. How old is she? 25. And you're? 65. Right. He took a drink. Look, I'm not saying she's a bad person, but you need to understand the reality here. She works in a bar. She's got a family that needs money. You're a Western guy with a pension. Do the math. You don't know her, I said. My voice was sharper than I meant it to be. Tommy raised his hands. Okay. Maybe I don't. Maybe this one's different. I hope so, for your sake. But he didn't believe it. I could see it in his eyes. And deep down, maybe I didn't believe it either, but I wanted to. God, I wanted to. That night, Rowan came over. She brought a movie, some Thai romantic comedy with subtitles. We didn't watch much of it. She curled up against me on the couch. I ran my fingers through her hair. Nolan? Yeah? Can I ask you something? Of course. She was quiet for a moment. You think about your wife? A lot? I didn't expect that question. Sometimes. Yeah. You still love her? I thought about it. I'll always love her. But she's gone. I can't live in the past forever. Rawin looked up at me. Her eyes were serious. You can love again. It okay. She want you to be happy. I kissed her forehead. Thank you for saying that. She smiled. I mean it. And maybe she did. In that moment, maybe it was real, or maybe I just needed it to be. The first time she asked for money, we'd been seeing each other for 3 weeks. We were having dinner at a small restaurant near my condo. She was quiet, distracted. She kept checking her phone. Everything okay? I asked. She looked up. Her eyes were red, like she'd been crying. It's my mother. She needs surgery. For her leg. The diabetes. It make problem. I'm sorry. Is it serious? Doctors say yes, but cost too much. 20,000 baht. We don't have. She wiped her eyes. I don't know what to do. 20,000 baht. About 500 pounds. Nothing to me. Everything to her. I can help, I said. She shook her head. No. I cannot ask you. You're not asking. I'm offering. Nolan, it too much. We only know each other small time. I reached across the table and took her hand. Let me help. Please. I want to. She started crying. Really crying. You are so good, man, Nolan. I never meet man like you. I transferred the money the next day. She sent me a photo of her mother at the hospital, an old woman with a tired face. I felt good about it, like I'd done something meaningful. 2 weeks later, it was her brother. School fees, 15,000 baht. A week after that, her landlord was threatening to evict her. 12,000 baht. Then it was her grandmother, her cousin, her friend who'd lost her job. The numbers got bigger. The reasons got vaguer. But every time I gave her money, she cried. She kissed my cheek. She said, "You are so good, man, Nolan. I never meet man like you." And I felt needed, important, like I had a purpose again. I told myself it was temporary, that once her family was stable, it would stop, that this was what people did when they loved each other. They helped. They supported. They made sacrifices. I didn't tell Tommy. I knew what he'd say. I checked my bank balance one night. I'd been in Bangkok for 8 months. I'd spent more in the last 2 months than in the previous 6 combined. A voice in my head whispered, "This isn't right." I silenced it. I sent Rawin another transfer. She needed money for her mother's medication. Or maybe it was her brother's books. I couldn't remember anymore. It didn't matter. She needed me. And I needed to be needed. She was late. Again. I was sitting in my condo, waiting. She was supposed to arrive at 7. It was almost 9. I called her twice. No answer. I sent 3 messages. Read. But no reply. When she finally walked in, she didn't apologize. She just dropped her bag on the floor and went to the kitchen. "Hey," I said, "everything okay?" "Yeah, fine." Her voice was flat. I was worried. "You didn't answer." She spun around. Her eyes were hard. "Why you always check me? You don't trust?" I stepped back. "I'm not checking. I was just concerned. I'm not your wife. I don't need to tell you everything all the time." The words hit me like a slap. "I never said you were." She turned away. "Open the fridge. I'm stressed, okay? My mother, my family, money problem. You don't understand. Then help me understand. Talk to me." She softened. "Just a little. I'm sorry. I'm just tired." She came over and hugged me. "I don't mean to be like this. It's just hard right now." I held her, but it felt different. Colder. Like hugging a stranger. Over the next few weeks, it got worse. She was always on her phone. When I asked who she was texting, she'd snap at me. When I suggested we go out, she'd say she was tired. When I tried to be affectionate, she'd pull away. One night, I decided to surprise her. She'd mentioned her apartment was near On Nut Station. I'd never been there. She always came to my place. I took a taxi, found the building. It was old, run down. I climbed the stairs to the 3rd floor. Her apartment number was on a piece of paper she'd left in my condo once. I knocked. No answer. I knocked again. A neighbor's door opened. An old Thai woman poked her head out. "You looking for Rawin?" she asked in broken English. "Yes." "Do you know if she's home?" The woman shrugged. "She not here much. Maybe with boyfriend." My heart stopped. "Boyfriend? Thai man. Young. Come here sometimes." She closed the door. I stood there for a long time, staring at Rowan's door. My hands were shaking. I called her. She answered after 6 rings. "Hello? Where are you?" "At temple. With my mother." "Why?" "Which temple? Why you ask so many questions?" Her voice was angry. "I just want to know where you are. I tried to visit you." There was a pause. "You come to my apartment?" "Yes." "I wanted to surprise you." "You cannot do that. You must tell me first." "Why?" "Because it's my place, my privacy. You don't own me. I felt like I was drowning. I never said I did. I have to go. My mother waiting." She hung up. I stood outside her apartment for another 10 minutes. The fog was rolling in. Thick, cold. I could feel it wrapping around me, squeezing. I couldn't see clearly anymore. I didn't know what was real and what wasn't. I called Tommy the next day. "She's pulling away," I told him. "I can feel it." "Then walk away, mate, before it gets worse." "I can't. I love her. Do you? Or do you just love not being alone?" I hung up on him, but I didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, wondering if Tommy was right, wondering if I was blind, wondering if the fog had always been there, and I just hadn't noticed until now. I found him by accident. It was late. I couldn't sleep. I was scrolling through Facebook, killing time, killing thoughts. I typed Rawin's name into the search bar. She'd told me she didn't use Facebook much, that she preferred Line, that social media was boring. I found her profile. It was public. I clicked, and my world collapsed. There were photos, dozens of them, recent ones, from last week, from 2 days ago. Rawin in a restaurant, Rawin at a beach, Rawin laughing. And next to her, every single time, was a man. Mid-30s, handsome in that casual, confident way, his arm around her waist, her head on his shoulder, comments in Thai underneath, heart emojis, fire emojis. I scrolled down. The photos went back months, before I even met her. But there were recent ones too. One from last Tuesday. She was wearing the same dress she'd worn to my condo that night. The night she said she'd been at home, resting. The man's name was Lek. I clicked on his profile. It was full of her too. Couple photos. Videos of them together. A status update from 3 days ago. "Love you always," in Thai, with a photo of them kissing. I stared at my phone. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. I felt like I was going to throw up. I called her. She didn't answer. I called again. On the 5th try, she picked up. "What? It's late. Who's Lek?" Silence. "What?" "Lek. The man in all your Facebook photos. Who is he?" Another pause. Longer this time. "He's my ex." "Your ex?" "Yes. It's complicated." "Complicated how? You're in photos with him from 3 days ago." "Nolan, listen. And you're kissing him. There's a photo of you kissing him." "It's not what you think." "Then what is it?" I was yelling now. I didn't care. "Tell me what it is. Can we talk tomorrow?" "Not on phone." "No, we talk now." She sighed. "Okay, yes, I still see Lek sometimes, but it's not serious. He's Thai. It's different. You and me, we have something special." "Special? You've been lying to me for months." "I never lie. You never ask if I have ex-boyfriend." "Because I thought you were with me." "I am with you. But in Thailand, things are different. You don't understand culture. Don't blame this on culture. You lied." She started crying. "I was going to tell you. I just didn't know how. I was scared. You leave me. I need you, Nolan. I love you. You love my money. That's not fair. I have feelings for you. Real feelings. Lek is from my old life. You are my future." I wanted to hang up. I wanted to block her number, delete her from my life. But I didn't, because even through the rage and the hurt, I still wanted to believe her. "Are you sleeping with him?" "No, I promise. We just friends now. Don't lie to me." "I'm not lying. I swear on my mother." I closed my eyes. The fog was so thick now I couldn't breathe. "I need time to think." "Okay, I understand. But Nolan, please, don't leave me. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry." She hung up. I sat in the dark. I looked at the photos again, and again, and again, until the sun came up, until my eyes burned, until I couldn't feel anything anymore. I forgave her. A week later, She came to my condo. She cried. She held me. She said she'd blocked Lek, that she'd deleted his number, that it was over, that she chose me. And I believed her, because I needed to. Because walking away meant being alone again. And I was more terrified of that than of being lied to. Something inside me cracked that day. Something I couldn't get back. But I ignored it. I pushed it down. I told myself this was normal, that relationships were complicated, that I was overthinking. The fog swallowed me whole. And I let it. I asked her to move in with me. I thought proximity would fix things. If she was here, with me, every day, then I'd know. I'd know she wasn't lying. I'd know she wasn't with him. I'd know she loved me. We were having coffee at my condo. She was scrolling through her phone. I cleared my throat. Rawin, I've been thinking. She didn't look up. What if you moved in, here, with me? Her eyes lifted from the screen. Move in? Yeah. You wouldn't have to pay rent anymore. You could save money. We'd be together, properly, like a real couple. She set her phone down. I don't know. It's big decision. What's there to think about? Don't you want to be with me? Of course I do. But my family, I'll help your family. I already do. This just makes it easier. She bit her lip. Can I think about it? Sure. Take your time. But days passed. Then a week. She never mentioned it. I brought it up again. She said she was still thinking. I tried a different approach. What if I bought you a motorbike? You could get to work easier. Visit your family. Her eyes lit up. Just for a second. Really? Yeah, if it helps. Okay, that would be good. I bought her a Honda Wave, 30,000 baht. She said thank you. She didn't smile. I took her to dinner one night. An expensive place. Dim lighting. White tablecloths. The kind of restaurant I took Margaret to on our anniversary. Rawin wore a black dress. She looked beautiful. But she was on her phone the entire time. Can you put that away? I asked. She glanced at me. Sorry, my friend has problem. What kind of problem? Girl problem. You wouldn't understand. She kept texting. I watched her. The way her face changed as she read, the way she smiled at the screen, not at me, at whoever was on the other end. I reached across the table, took her hand. Rawin, do you even love me? She looked up, annoyed. Why you always ask same question? Because you never answer it. I'm here, aren't I? That's not an answer. She pulled her hand away. You think too much. Always thinking. Always worrying. It's exhausting. I just want to know how you feel. I feel tired. I feel stressed. I feel like you don't trust me. I'm trying to trust you. Then stop asking stupid questions. She went back to her phone. I sat there, silent. The fog pressed down on my chest. I couldn't breathe. I was terrified of losing her, but I was more terrified of being alone. So I stayed silent. I finished my dinner. I paid the bill. We went back to my condo. She went straight to bed. I sat on the couch, staring at nothing. The city lights blinked outside my window. Somewhere in the distance, I could hear traffic, voices, life happening, and I was trapped in the fog, suffocating. She didn't come home. I waited. 7 o'clock came and went. 8, 9. I called her. No answer. I sent a message. Where are you? It showed as read, but no reply. I called again, straight to voicemail. I tried line. Nothing. I paced the condo. I checked my phone every 30 seconds. I thought about calling the police, but what would I say? My girlfriend didn't come home? She's an adult. She doesn't owe me anything. At midnight, I got in a taxi. I gave the driver her address. The building looked darker than I remembered. More rundown. I climbed the stairs, knocked on her door. No answer. I knocked harder. Rawin? Are you in there? Nothing. The same old woman from before opened her door. She looked at me, shook her head. She gone. Move out. 2 weeks ago. Move out? Where did she go? Don't know. Didn't say. She closed the door. I stood there. My mind was blank, empty. I called Tommy. He answered on the first ring. Nolan? You all right? She's gone. What? Rawin. She's gone. She's not at her apartment. She's not answering. I don't know where she is. He was quiet for a moment. Mate, listen to me. She's gone. She got what she needed. She's not coming back. You don't know that. I do. And so do you. I hung up. I took a taxi back to my condo. I sat on the couch. The air conditioning hummed. The city lights flickered outside. I felt nothing. Not anger, not sadness. Just fog. Thick. Cold. Everywhere. I opened my banking app. I scrolled through the transactions. 300,000 baht over 4 months to Rowan for her mother, her brother, her rent, her cousin, her friend, her future. 300,000 baht. And now, nothing. Not even a goodbye. I checked her Facebook. Her profile was gone. Deleted. I checked Lex. Still there. But no new photos. I sat in the dark until the sun came up. I didn't sleep. I didn't cry. I just sat there, lost in the fog. I didn't leave the condo for 3 days. I ordered food delivery. I didn't answer Tommy's calls. I lay in bed and stared at the ceiling. I replayed everything, every conversation, every smile, every touch, every lie. It was never love. It couldn't have been. Love doesn't disappear without a goodbye. Love doesn't block your number. Love doesn't take your money and vanish. But I wanted it to be love. I needed it to be love. Because if it wasn't, then what did that make me? A fool. An old, desperate fool. I thought about Margaret, how she would have seen through Rawin in 5 minutes, how she would have told me to stop, to walk away, to come home. But I didn't want to hear it. I didn't want to see. Because seeing meant being alone again. And I couldn't face that. So I let myself be blind. I walked into the fog willingly. I made excuses for every red flag. I rationalized every lie. I paid for every emergency. I convinced myself that this was what love looked like. But it wasn't. It was survival. Her survival. And my desperation. 2 people using each other. But only one of them knew it. I got up on the 4th day. I showered. I looked at myself in the mirror. Gray hair. Tired eyes. Lines on my face that weren't there a year ago. I looked old. I felt older. I thought about going back to Manchester, facing the cold, facing my daughter, facing the empty house where Margaret and I raised our family. But I couldn't, not yet. I stayed in Bangkok, not because of Rowan, but because leaving meant admitting defeat. And I wasn't ready for that. I wasn't angry at her. Not really. She did what she had to do. In her world, I was a transaction, a way out, a ticket to something better. She didn't owe me anything. I gave freely. She took freely. That was the deal. I just didn't know it at the time. I was angry at myself for being so blind, for wanting so badly to believe, for thinking that money could buy connection. That loneliness could be fixed with a pretty face and a kind word. Margaret used to say I had a good heart, that I saw the best in people. She was wrong. I didn't see the best in Rawin. I saw what I wanted to see, and that's not kindness. That's cowardice. I walked into the fog because I was too scared to stand in the light, and now I was lost. Maybe forever. The chest pain started a week after Rawin disappeared. Sharp. Right in the center. Like something was pressing down on me. I ignored them for 2 days. Then I couldn't anymore. I took a taxi to a private clinic near Sukhumvit. The receptionist spoke perfect English. She took my information, my insurance. She smiled and said the doctor would see me soon. Doctor? Sirikul was in her 40s, short hair, glasses. She shook my hand and gestured to the exam table. "Tell me what's wrong," she said. I explained the pain, the tightness, the feeling that I couldn't breathe. She listened. She ran tests. Blood pressure, EKG, blood work. She asked me to wait. I sat in the sterile white room, staring at posters about diabetes and heart health, wondering if this was it, if I'd come to Bangkok to die alone. She came back 20 minutes later. "Your heart is fine," she said. "Physically, there's nothing wrong." "Then what is it?" "Stress, anxiety, possibly depression. Has anything changed in your life recently?" I laughed. It came out bitter. "You could say that." She sat down across from me. "You want to talk about it?" I didn't, but I did. I told her about Rawin. Not all of it, just the important parts, the money, the lies, the disappearance. She listened. She didn't judge. When I finished, she nodded. "Many men come here. Same story, different girl. You are not alone." I expected that to help. It didn't. It made it worse. "So I'm just another stupid Farang." "You're not stupid. You're human. You wanted connection. Someone saw that and used it. It doesn't make you stupid. It makes you vulnerable." "Same thing." "No, it's not." She wrote something on a pad. "I'm prescribing rest, hydration, and if you're open to it, therapy. There are English-speaking counselors here. They can help." "I don't need therapy." "Maybe not, but it might help to talk to someone. Someone who's not involved. Someone who can give you perspective." She handed me the paper. "Take care of yourself, Mr. Nolan. You survived this. That's more than some people can say." I left the clinic. I walked through Bangkok streets. The sun was setting. The air was warm, thick. The fog was still there. But for the first time, I could see through it. Just a little. I wasn't unique. I wasn't special. I was a cliché, a statistic, another old Farang who paid for love and got a bill instead. But I was still here, still breathing, still walking, and maybe that was enough. I decided to stay in Bangkok. Not because of Rawin. She was gone, a ghost, a memory I was trying to forget. I stayed because going back to Manchester meant facing the cold, the literal cold, the rain, the gray skies, the empty house. Here, at least, the sun was warm. The streets were loud. The city was alive. I could disappear into it. I called Tommy. We met for coffee at his guest house. He didn't say anything when I walked in. He just nodded, poured 2 cups, slid one across the table. "You look like hell," he said. "I feel like it." "You want to talk?" "Not really, but I probably should." So I told him everything. The money, the lies, the photos, the disappearance. He listened. He didn't interrupt. He didn't say, "I told you so." He just listened. When I finished, he lit a cigarette. "You're not the first, mate. You won't be the last." "I know. You survived this. We all do." "Do we?" I asked. "Or do we just pretend to?" "Bit of both, probably." He took a drag. "What are you going to do now?" "Stay here. I think. For a while." "Good. You need friends. I'm here. Anytime." I nodded. I finished my coffee. We sat in silence for a while. It wasn't uncomfortable. It was just quiet. Real. The fog was lifting. Slowly. I could see the city clearly now. The noise, the heat, the chaos, the scams, the beauty, the ugliness. It wasn't a dream. It never was. But it wasn't a nightmare either. It was just life. Messy, complicated, real. I went back to my condo. I opened my laptop. I wrote an email to my daughter. Rachel. I hadn't talked to her in months. She'd called after Margaret died, said I should come stay with her, in Leeds, with her husband and the kids. I told her I needed space, time to figure things out. She understood. She always understood. I wrote, Rachel, I'm okay. I know I haven't been in touch much. I'm sorry. I've been dealing with some things, made some mistakes, but I'm learning. I'm still here. That's enough for now. Love, Dad. I hit send. I closed the laptop. I stood on my balcony. The city spread out below me. Lights, movement, life. The fog was still there. It always would be, but I could see through it now. I could breathe. I lost everything. My savings, my dignity, my future. But I was still here, still breathing, still learning. And maybe that was enough. For now.